Welcome back to your power station, Energy 100 FM. My name is Nashawn. I'm not quite sure if I introduced myself the first time around, but nonetheless, of course, you should know this by now because we're doing it for the third time. And of course, it's coming to you every single week here on your power station, where we speak all things the economy. That is with the editor of the Economist publication, as well as an economic analyst, Mr. Daniel Steinmann. We were just about to get into the Zimbabwean issue in terms of shutting down the economy completely.
Okay, now that is a painful issue to
Yes.
but we have to look at it because the lessons for Southern Africa are tremendous. There are many takeaways that we can pick up in Zimbabwe that we need to watch out for. The first one is you don't ruin your own currency. Now that's very easy. How do you do it? You start it by running a deficit on your government budget every year. Not a little poopy 2%, 3% deficit. You go big.
Yes.
You run 10%, 12%, 13% deficits. That's the first thing. And this is all that happened in Zimbabwe. Second thing is you get your central bank to buy those government debt letters. In other words, those bonds that the government sells, the moment that you start doing this, they lose their credibility, they lose their investment value. And it means that you have to go find a buyer somewhere else, otherwise you run dry. You get your central bank and you say, hey, come here. You see the 600 million Zim dollars for this week, sometimes for this day. You buy it from us, you go print 600 million Zim dollars,
Yes.
and you give it to us and we keep the economy running. And what eventually happened is that the whole economy grind to a halt. It shut down. And this was about 10, 11 years ago. And not so many people in Namibia are familiar with conditions in Zimbabwe, but for about the better part of 6, 7, 8 months, very few people in Zimbabwe knew where their next piece of bread is going to come from. Because the moment that you ruined your currency, there was nothing to replace it.
Yeah.
So how do you make a transaction?
Yes.
The whole economy came to a standstill. This is the point I'm trying to make. We have been borrowing money, private sector and government,
Yes.
which I said in the first part and explained it, and many people are very critical of it. But I'm telling you, it's the best thing that we can do. It's the only sensible thing that we can do, is to increase credit in the economy. In other words, whether you like it or not, the government has to borrow more. It has to keep the economy running, the productive structures. Otherwise, when it comes to a standstill, it takes you the better part of a full year just to get to restart. And once you've managed to reintroduce a new currency or make different arrangements and you restart, it takes the better part of 10 years, a whole decade,
Yeah.
to fix that damage. And again, look at Zimbabwe.
That's a long time.
You know, Zimbabwe, the economy there traditionally, until 10 years ago, used to be about 7 times the size of the Namibian economy. We were a small economy compared to Zimbabwe. Today, the Namibian economy is 4 times bigger than the Zimbabwean economy. So from being 7 times the Namibian economy, the Zimbabwean economy shrunk until it is only 1/4 of the Namibian economy. So this should give you some perspective in what the idea that I'm conveying here of maintaining the economy. Even if it is in a difficult time, we had 2016, 17, 18, 19, this is 4 years of negative growth, and you must excuse that very paradoxical expression that is typical economist.
Yes.
You know. So 4 years of recession, sometimes on and off recession. On
Yes.
and off. This all depends on technical analysis, how you measure it, but they are, we don't need to go find out how you measure a recession. It's done according to certain principles.
Yes.
So let's say we were in a recessionary environment for the better part of 4 years. Then COVID-19 came. Then we really fell off the cliff. So on top of the prolonged damage, damage through slower economic output. We had the damage of COVID-19, and this was not uniquely Namibian. This was universal. It was the same all over the world.
True.
Wherever you looked at an economy, it suffered the same. And don't think that other countries, even advanced or developed countries, are less indebted than we are. In fact, they are far more indebted than we are. So our relatively modest debt enabled us to get through the COVID-19 thing, not unscathed, but in such a way that the productive capacity of the economy has been retained.
Yes.
It's been safeguarded. And this is very important because you and I talked earlier about the rain. And the rain lifts us up.
Yes.
And we're looking outside and we see there are clouds, and we look at the Met Service and they say maybe this afternoon, maybe tomorrow.
Yes.
The first really substantial rains for the season. Now comes the economic link. This is where I want to open your mind that it can rain as much as it wants. If we've ruined the economy, if the productive capacity, the structures, the equipment, the skilled people, if they're not functional, all that water is useless. And you know how dependent we are on rain.
Yes.
So the Namibian economy and the rain is the same thing. And I want to repeat that, and I said it earlier.
Makes sense.
Rain in this country is part of the economy, part and parcel of the economy. But you have to be ready when the rain comes. And you can look at it a bit more symbolically. It can be real rain outside, drops on your head, you get wet. Or it can be economic rain. But you don't know exactly when it's going to come.
Yes.
But you have to be ready when it comes, that you can start producing, that your production can immediately revert back to levels where you were before COVID-19.
True. That's actually a very interesting way of putting it. I've actually never looked at it that way. I think the next time I step out and I see some rain, I have to have a very economic mindset when it comes to that, to of course also sort of like start producing. And I mean, it starts at home, right?
Yes,
it starts at home. You can start as little as somewhere in the backyard, like in your garden or whatever the situation is. I don't know what it is, but nonetheless, it's always great talking to you, Mr. Daniel Steinmann. Is there anything that you'd like to add before we close it off for today?
Yeah, Nashawn, just a last thought, and I'll continue with this next week.
Yes.
That is that everything you do every day and that you use and that you consume is part of the economy. You cannot escape it. You can ignore it, but you cannot escape it.
Very well put. Thank you so very much for taking our time to talk to us. And we're looking forward to the next discussion. All right, awesome stuff. It is, of course, Let's Talk Let's Talk Business. That is with Mr. Daniel Steinmann. You can, of course, also, in case you just got onto the conversation, you can definitely check it out on our YouTube channel. We are Energy 100 FM Namibia. That is, of course, on YouTube. Otherwise, check out our socials as well. Energy 100 FM on Facebook, as well as Energy 100 FM NAM on Twitter, as well as on Instagram. Definitely going to be sharing the links with you as well. Until next week, we are out of here. Have yourself a fantastic one and enjoy the rest of your time here on your power station. My name is Nashawn and we are signing out.